Sorry. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Chronic Nirvana podcast series. In today's episode, we're joined by your ordinary college graduate who just happens to have the courage to step up and do his own thing in spite of your regular parental pressures of, finding a job, hustling, getting married or following very traditional steps. To me, he's been a college senior and currently a very student version of Gary Vee. So, speaking of V, Vishal Menon, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you here with us.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks, Lakshay. Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, man.
Yeah.
Even when I spoke to you in college and whatnot, right? Like, you've always had this sense of being independent and being different, which I totally dig because there are a lot of people who claim to run their own businesses and whatnot when in reality they've had this crazy financial backing or whatever from their family. You've had none of that. You're not one of those trust fund babies or those business babies who've just taken responsibility of a bigger of something that people have already built. You're building shit on your own, which I find really crazy, man. So where did it start? How did that inspiration come in, for you? And like, how long have you been at it? Is that, something that came in after college, during college, school? Like, walk me through that.
I mean, thanks for the kind words, man. So I think since middle school, I've always been someone who wanted to go out of the way to do different things, just explore, what's out there. So that's why I was always out of classrooms, took part in a lot of extracurriculars, and I think that sense of wanting to do more than what's required was innate in me, and I owe it a lot to my parents as well because they've always encouraged me to step outside and do something different. But then at the same time, I think I don't know, just watching a lot of Western culture, TV shows and stuff. I've just been influenced by entrepreneurship from the West, a lot of entrepreneurship from India, and I've just been like, okay, if do I want to go by the same path and do the same stuff, or do I want to do something different? And that has always been the answer has always been that I want to do something different. So I want to stand out of the crowd. I want to do something more than the others, and just because I enjoy doing it, not because I have a point to prove or that I want to showcase myself as something big. It's none of that. I realized early on that it is something I enjoy, which I guess I'm grateful for, Touchwood, because not everyone is able to figure out what they want to do early on. And I think I was lucky enough to find out that I want to do something on my own. And whatever I'm going to do, I do want to start it on my own. So yeah, so I think so I think that it's just been innate for a long time, and I've dabbled with a lot of projects, and yeah, I don't come from like the uh, like a really well-off family or anything, but my parents have worked hard enough to give me whatever they had to give me, and I know I want more for myself. I know I want more for my family. So yeah, it's just been at it, man. Like. One project after the other. Some of them have failed miserably, others have gone really well. And I'm still learning. I wouldn't say I've reached like even 10% of where I want to be. And it's just an ongoing process. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. And like since you looked at the West, you looked at the East, and then you decided which parts to take in. I think you're in the perfect place. Like Dubai seems like a safe haven for people like you. Who
Uh,
want to integrate ideas from
Definitely,
everywhere.
definitely. I think I know for a fact that uh, it has its downfalls as well, but I think Dubai is perfect for me as a person generally. Like I think I fit into this city really well, just because I don't know. I love the fact that Dubai wants to be number one in everything, and that has rubbed off on me too. Because every single time they want to break Guinness World Records, every single time they want to build something or the other that just blows everyone's minds.
Yeah.
And Dubai is now becoming popular on TikTok and on Instagram, where like people from the West are just like, "Whoa, Dubai! It's so cool!" And I'm just like, it's always been cool, man. Like, and I think although yes, I do want to travel the world, I do want to see a lot of places. I think I'll always come back here because this has just been home, and this is where I've just built my sort of ambition and whatever I wanted to do.
That's awesome, man. Because even though this is just like it's an ambition you have. Vishal, I hope you know Shadi.com isn't going to go anywhere with entrepreneur as a tagline. See, as it is, your prospects dip. Like you studied engineering, right? Like for a bit.
For a week, dude.
Exactly. Now, if you go from engineering dropout, now entrepreneurship finished, dude, what will the South Indian girls' parents say right now? Like, you're primed for it. You're primed for it right now. You're just driving that away, bro. Like, what answer do you have? I'm just kidding, but no, man. I'm telling you, you're gonna that Shadi.com profile is gonna be booming in like another 5 years time. You know when each of those ventures make it big.
Definitely, I hope so, because like there's no other hope for me in any other angle, so I think I'll have to stick to Shadi.com and see what happens. In fact, it's funny, like the something that I've been doing during the quarantine is reading reviews on Shadi.com. I don't know if you guys have done it. Like it's amazing. Like it's like Zomato reviews, but it's like people reviewing how Shadi.com bought both of them together, and like this whole process of the marriage happened. And I don't know why I decided that one day, hey, let's look at reviews of Shadi.com. And I wanted and it was amazing. Like some of these stories are so like well like thought out and captured so beautifully. And you have like these big stories, like it's like paragraphs and paragraphs, and then there's like one guy who wrote it was a good experience. Entire thing, like the entire process of finding a soulmate and getting married, it was a good experience. That's it. And I was just like, I think this is the sign for me, dude. Like this is definitely.
I mean, think about it. I mean, at least it's not as bad as someone saying would marry here again. Like that as long as you don't have people 10 on 10 would smash again. Like prime. Oh man, but I want to the topic that I want to really touch with you, because you've explored this a lot in your past, is education, right? We've all been through that same system, right? All of us have gone through CBSE. And actually, you did State Board Award for a while in India, or IB. What did you do? Oh, okay. So, like, we know that monotonous tone of it, right? Right now, I feel like we're entering this era where a lot of people are managing to get things done independently, right? Even if you look at the job market, our parents have been stuck in roles for 5 years, 10 years. Like if someone tells you, "Hey, I've been at this company for a short time," that would be 4 to 5 years. Nowadays, we're looking at people who are moving on from company to company for every other year. Now, some of that is justified by the fact that, hey, we want to learn more. We're just able to learn and assimilate so quickly that we're already bored of it. We want to learn something else, and that mentality doesn't just exist, I feel, in the corporate world or once people work, but something that exists even when people are studying, right? Like how for how long are you going to continuously learn physics the same boring way that it's being taught to you from ninth grade to 12th grade, right? So
That's a really good way of putting it.
so you're talking like you took an initiative to do something regarding improving this education space that we're in. So what was that all about?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I wouldn't say, no, I would say this. I think CBSE failed me miserably because, like I took science in 11th and 12th because I was the poster boy for science because I got
Sell out.
straight A's. Yeah, sell out, man, honestly, because I got straight A's in 10th grade. I got, and I mean, no one really told you in CBSE that, okay, how do you choose a career? Like, did they get into like, why am I taking science? No, it's like you do well in subjects, so yeah, might as well take science. And there was no reasoning behind it, there was no process behind it, there was no like sort of, hey, why do you want to do science or anything? So yes, the problem exists, and I can say it is trying to be changed now. There is improvements coming in, but it's still innate a lot, especially within our culture, that like there's only a certain way of doing things, but the entire world is proving that that's not how it's going to work. Like then you need to completely see that things are changing so quickly, things are changing so rapidly that you need to keep up. In order to keep up with it, you can't be limited by a system because that's just gonna harm you in the long run. And I was very bothered by this because I was like, I had that mentality that I wanted to do something different, and I guess I was also, I don't know, I guess I was grateful that I had that sort of attitude that, you know what, even if it fails, I'm okay with it. But not everyone has that sort of courage built into them, right? Like, and that's unfair because why should, you know, a person who has that sort of capability and who wants to do something different, they don't do it because they're scared or they're afraid, or you know, they've been taught to work in a certain way. So like you said, subjects are being taught in a certain way, things were going the same monotonous way. I'm like, there needs to be a change. Like, it's high time because school systems were made for the 80s or the 90s, and it's still, a lot of them are still following the same route, but many other systems have changed a lot. Like, a lot of other systems in the world are adapting, but I still feel CBSE isn't reached that point where they are adapting, which is quite sad, man. Because like, we have some of the greatest and the most creative minds in the world in Asia, and in and yet, you know, there's still that sort of I don't know, inferiority complex in us that, oh, we're not as good as the others because it's still because we're stuck in that system.
But that's like a lot of social change too, right? Like, for example, for a long time, in terms of any influence, we've always looked westward, right? And I'm talking about social progressiveness in terms of just perceiving different things, right? It could start at very simple things from why do people look at Western media, whatnot. Like, and I'll give you a very, as silly as it sounds, right? When we first watch movies and like as kids or whatever, or like fucking as horny 13 or 14-year-old boys, right? You see one hot, steamy sex scene or whatever in a movie, and you're like, all of a sudden you're drawn to Hollywood media. Like, I'm just giving you a very simple thing, right? It starts at a very basic thing of like, say, Spider-Man doing an upside down making out thing. Like, that was 2004 romance in Hollywood versus in Bollywood, Salman Khan was sniffing the armpits of like some other actress. Like, there's a disparity, dude. So when you've but the simple thing is that at a very fundamental level in society, when kids, people are being taught that certain shit's okay, this is acceptable, you know, and it's okay in that culture, right? Talking about things, not tabooing a lot of topics, being open to just discussing things, not even like you don't have to bring up a change at a, you know, at a government level or whatever, but you can just talk about things in your family within a dining room or whatever. But now you do that, and obviously us kids are so, you know, tuned to that now. We're like, holy shit, these guys are doing all that, and one thing after another, those guys have made a progression in, you know, in their education system. Meanwhile, people over here are cribbing that, oh, we've got the youngest population in India, the smartest population, and they're all fucking off somewhere else. I mean, it's we have to make that change if for us to not lose our brilliant minds, for our money to, I mean, for our economy to grow and shit. We've got to make sure we provide our own talent with the necessary infrastructure and the resources, right? Like,
But like the only problem that India, like I feel like, you know, they couldn't go down that route is because we're plagued with the same problem that China does, which is massive overpopulation. Like catering to each and every person and giving them an individualistic attitude, which is possible in Europe and the US, is because they have so much more economy.
yeah.
Like, you know, they have so much more wealth than per, you know, the GDP is basically better. But the way China goes down this route is like they see, you know, oh, this guy has a disposition for potentially being like an Olympic guy, and then fucking they just go and then, you know, modify them or whatever. Like, you know, they have free reign. The government has free reign to take that talent and then push it, and the rest of the rest of the country is still in, you know, a grind like the way India.
It's like a
all of the
massive
country seems to be,
corporation,
right?
like the government in China, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just one corporation
Literally.
that channels out their assets and makes them perform really well for to their advantage, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
It's literally Huawei. The entire country is Huawei.
Oh man, yeah. So if you could sort of bring about a change, right, Vishal? Like in a way, like I won't say one, but like, what are your general thoughts if you had the power to make certain changes? What would those be?
So the first way, like that I did try and bring up that change was my first venture into entrepreneurship was Firefly's education, which the whole intention was that I wanted to bring in different sort of learning experiences into schools, which would but the intention was one, it has to be practical learning, which means that we don't you get enough theory from schools, which it has its own importance, but I want to bring in the practical aspect. And B, I want it to be fun. Like, I want it to be engaging. I want you to actually want to study. Like that's what my two goals were. So I thought about like how do I do that? Like what are the ways that I could, or what does a product look like when when I want to get capture those two core objectives. So the first thing that came into my mind was like online learning as it is growing. It's the biggest thing right now. It's been going on in, I mean, now because of the COVID thing, it's boomed everywhere. But I wanted to create, oh yeah, and I wanted to create online courses in partnership with companies. So imagine, students actually learning about the industry from companies who have been practicing it for, the past 20, 30 years in the field. And experts from those industries teaching you, and imagine if BMW created a curriculum on automotive engineering and actually had videos and their data and their research in the form of a curriculum, and it's out there for people to access. Like imagine the kind of like what we could possibly learn in 4 years, that curriculum could possibly reduce it down to 1 year. And that's what that's what I wanted. I wanted to create like maybe, so I can't obviously think in that level. So I'm like, what can I do in the basic sense? Which is just like a short-term course which gave students an insight into the industry, equipped them with just the right kind of know-how and the right kind of skills to maybe just get into that industry. And that's all. That's the beginning process. And what's funny is it grabbed so much attention in schools and universities that we built a network of this, a lot of institutions who said, yeah, that's amazing, we need it. So we knew, okay, the market wants it, students want it. We asked students, because at the end of it, it's a business. So I asked, will you pay for it?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we'd love to pay for it because it's something that could really add value to us. So that was the market research aspect for it. I obviously, like you said, don't have any kind of funding, don't have rich families or anything. So I had to go and take part in a number of startup competitions. And this was my first time doing this. Like there's no sort of, no one teaches you these things, right? Like you just apply, you just hope that what you're doing is correct, and just go with it. And I remember the funniest thing was, and this was, I mean, you can see the Zoom picture right now, which was the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival in 2019. So it's one of the biggest entrepreneurship competitions in the Middle East. It's like 65 to 70 startups from across the Middle East. Like, it gets selected to get, participate in that. And this is the 2019, 2019 competition, but in 2018, I took part in it too. And this was the first time, like, I was in a proper startup competition. I had a booth, and I was, I mean, I wasn't nervous, but I was just like, it's my first time actually going into the real world and doing something for myself. And when I reached there and I entered, there were like, all the other startups that were there were like run by 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds, 40-year-old veterans in their field who have like knowledge and know-how. And there's me, a 20-year-old, just standing there and just like, okay, what do I do now? And I was like, okay, cool, this is just going to be a learning experience. I'm not going to win this. I'm not going to get any money. I'm just going to like make the most out of it. I ended up coming in the top 5. Which was very surprising. Out of 70 startups that took part.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro.
And thanks. And which meant that that topic or what we're trying to address was something people cared about. And and the way that we were trying to address it was also, something that they thought was valuable. Obviously didn't win it. They said we're too early. If you can get us some more traction and get a product maybe, we can, next year you could win. So spent that 1 year, made like a beta version of the product with one company, did some more research, grinded for a year, and that's 2019. Took part again, made it to the top 5 again for a second year in a row, and lost again. And then you're just like, okay, so the market wants it, people want it, people seem to be saying that they'll fund it, but why is nothing happening? And that was just like my first sort of jump in my failure. And a couple of things I learned from that is that I guess although sometimes people want it and there's a need for it, maybe the environment surrounding it isn't just favorable for it. And that's what we realized. Like companies, although the sound of that, like imagine the rep that BMW would get for educating students about their industry. Like it's amazing brand value. But the time and effort required to produce that kind of content and that curriculums were a lot. Like it's a lot of work. And although we were helping them with it, they were just not ready to dive into it. So obviously had to drop that concept. It was fine. I learned a lot from it. Now we're moving on to something else. But again, the key takeaway was that there is a need. I learned that all the schools and universities we went to wanted, students really wanted, and I can guarantee within 5 to 10 years, what we're going to see is that in a way, maybe universities are going to shift, and after high school, companies are going to give you like degrees.
Yeah, that is something that I've been wanting to work towards. It's a very pipe dream, and that I know this is coming from a guy who wants to do entertainment, but like, not gonna lie, this like there has been like that entrepreneurial side to me that's really been passionate about education, simply because like I just felt that whatever I did, like my just like you, those grades that I had in school didn't really mean shit until I could do something with it. So, yeah, and I see so many talented kids, right? And for example, there's also that work ethic that people can really foster from a very young age that our community really has failed to do. Like for example, dude, this kid is 16 years old, right? 16-year-old kid runs cross country in the morning for his school, finishes high school, comes home, probably changes, goes and works in a pizza place. 16 years old, works in a pizza place for 4 to 6 hours, right? What were we doing? Sitting and playing PS4, chilling, going to Max, going to tuitions. Do these kids like all like they have a house? It's not like they're living on the streets or they have a nice, comfortable house. But this kid's been independent, and he's learning to hustle. He's learning the value for money. At 16, whatever phone, shoes, anything he gets, it's on his own dime. Now, if kids can do that at 16, I have complete faith that the way, I mean, dude, I'm 21 and I'm talking to 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds who I can have a conversation with for an hour, dude. They're smart. They pick shit up quickly. And, if this guy can do this shit, like this guy I met, what, 5 years ago? I mean, I shudder to think how fast kids must have grown up now. Like, they're ready, man. Like, you're right, 100%. Like, the world would benefit so much more if they could, if people at 17, 18, like, when they peak, like, you don't know when people peak. Sometimes putting them through college, like for me, I felt like I peaked in high school and I actually dipped in college. And now I feel like, okay, I'm climbing towards that peak again. But when people are at that peak, you've got to like harvest it and like really you have to really give them that opportunity. So yeah, I completely agree with you, dude. That's something our system needs to work towards.
Oh, man, sorry, I just wanted to like complete this thought that I was having about Vishal's Fireflies thing. And like that sounds like such an impressive idea that, people go, like companies teach students and, people learn exactly what they need for the companies that they want to work in. But in Dubai, I heard that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that fundraising was illegal.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a whole complicated thing. So you're not allowed to
Yeah.
fundraise for charity or startups unless it's registered or whatever. These are
Yeah.
the things that I went for are registered competitions, like governed by whatever, like
Yeah.
certain bodies, and the Sharjah Entrepreneurship is by the Sharjah
Yeah.
government itself. So yeah, so we only participated in registered competitions we
Okay.
took part in like 10 to 12 of them. We made it's funny, we made it to the finals of all of them but never won anything. So
Shit, man.
which is funny.
So
But
close.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel at some level, since you're so used to repressing shit in society, it could be anything, right? Like it's as simple as, if okay, let's not just say a girl, let's just say a guy, right? Like he wants to do like a photo shoot, right? And he's just like nothing, dude. Nothing's for the guy. He's got a good body, whatnot. He's just taking a bunch of pictures in his underwear, flaunting his body, right? And like all of a sudden, people shame him. And shit, it's so much more worse for girls, right? Now you're so used to doing shit on the DL, and you're so used to repressing shit. Do you feel at some point that's the whole mentality that just causes you to repress everything good about you as well? Like your ideas, your courage, your daring to go do something different.
That's a very interesting point that you brought up, because I think that this goes in two ways, right? In terms of if you need somebody to go charging into war, like the head of the company, CEO, somebody who, like, if obviously there's going to be backlash, there's going to be people who like are negative about him, and those people will go and find the things that like he was repressed, and they'll bring it up, and then he'll be like, holy shit, it's repressed, and he'd be hurt by that. But when it comes from a creative aspect, or like, you know, in some like when you're trying to establish depth of character, like not depth of character but depth in personality, where like, you know, imagine you're trying to make a movie about somebody really complicated, like the Joker movie, for example. I think the Indian culture would excel on that because there's so many character traits that we don't even think about, but then you'd be like, okay, this is compulsive disorder, this is like ADHD, but he manages the ADHD by doing it like this, you know, like this. I don't even, like, that's just off the top of my head, but I think from if you were to write a story about somebody, I think in the repression and everything, the repression, the rage, it channels itself into whatever the person puts his mind to in terms of art or like sports, for example. You know, if somebody is like super repressed and like, you know, everyone's telling him he's like, for example, like, also, like it's just a random example, but Griezmann, like Antoine Griezmann, even though he's not Indian or whatever, he used to get slated for being short. And like, you know, everyone in France was like this tall, like, you know, football. And he used to get absolutely ruined. And, you know, he went to PSG or whatever, like wherever the club that he started out. Oh, no, I think it was Lyon or something. But, you know, they were like, who is this guy? If same thing with Messi. And they channeled that repression because obviously they knew they were short. And obviously they knew that might have been a shortfall. But then when they like took that repression and then were like, I don't fucking care that this is my limitation. I'm going to channel it into fucking, you know, I'm not going to let it hold
convert
back.
repression to motivation sort of
Exactly.
thing, right? To sort of
Exactly.
forward.
Yeah.
But
so in that sense, it would be good. But if you're looking for somebody, you know, who to structure your company on, you'd be like, this is a dependable person. He has no fucking hang-ups. He has no, you know, no, like if you fucking push him, he won't fall. Then I do not think that somebody with a lot of repression would be the best call, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, no, I completely see where you're coming from because and this is one of the reasons why I do what I do, right? Like let's talk about Chronic Nirvana, this very podcast series. One of the reasons I started doing it is I know for a fact when you guys are watching this, you can tell again, like I can talk for days, but I know I have certain problems when it comes to talking. That could just be my flow, right? I stutter, I have my pauses, I have shit that goes sideways. Now, and I'll tell you where this relates to, right? It's the fact that I have an intention to do something which is showcase the fact that it's important to go out there and do it in spite of whatever shortcomings you might have. It could be stuttering, it could be anything. Like if Ed Sheeran could stutter, listen to the Marshall Mathers LP and build a singing career out of it. Like, why the fuck can I, who can talk like a normal human being with just slight character flaws or whatever, not build a platform into something greater? Like, and one of the fundamental reasons why I'm doing this is that, look, I'm not a big guy. This podcast gets less than 100 views on a normal time. The idea is that those 100 people need to be aware that in today's age, at least in our society, we are so focused on perfection. When you go to school, when you attend club, when you get exams, if you get 40 out of 50 in a paper, why the fuck didn't you get for like 45 and above? Like, there's always that, why can't you be more perfect, right? When it's more important that despite wherever you are, it's important that you go out there and do shit, right? And it comes down to, you know, if people say that oh, you want to be an actor or a producer and you can only do this much on a camera, well, fuck it, man. Even if you can't do this much on a camera and if you like it, keep doing it, see where it takes you. That encouragement that parents and that society generally needs to give people, upcoming people, right? But that small shift in mindset, like, right, dude, see, I'm not going to be hypocritical, okay? I saw people do shit, okay? I saw people come up with content and I used to laugh at them. I used to be like, yaar, ye kya chutiagiri kar raha hai? Like, I used to see shit and go like, bro, this isn't even great. It took me time, it took me maturity to look at that and say that, you know what, dude, I might share this video to one of my friends saying, look at this guy making an ass out of himself. You know who the real winner is? Him. People are laughing at him. He's still getting 2 to 5 more views. And that fucking counts for something, you know, that works the algorithm. He's still getting popular, right? And that's something that people really should look into. And like, Vishal, this is one thing, obviously, I've looked up to you in so many ways in the recent past, right? And like, you were a student of the shit that Gary Vee taught for the past couple of years. I hopped onto the train a week ago and I'm like, what, dude, fuck, I'd be somewhere else if I listened to this guy like 5 years ago. and And it really comes down to this, right? Like kids these days need to be empowered with the fact that it doesn't matter if you're in school. Like parents are so used to saying, oh, what the fuck do you know? What do you know of the world when you're in school? What change can you make? When in reality, these guys are capable of the biggest change. These guys can make the shit that you do obsolete, you know?
Definitely, definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think, I mean, you know, a couple of points that came up when you guys were talking was, yes, there's just a lot of, you know, depression, there's a lot of things going on. But I think, so one thing, the way that we've changed at Fireflies is now we're a Gen Z marketing agency. And
Yeah.
because we shifted to that sense that, you know, we wanted to be an agency that just focuses on this demographic, I've had to do a lot of research on Gen Z. Like I know them because I am Gen Z, but just understand them better. And it's amazing to think that, you know, this generation is a lot more aware. They're a lot more, you know, committed to what they want to do. Like I saw this meme where they showcased a Gen Z dude body slamming a cop in the US when that Black Lives Matter thing was happening. And
Yeah.
then there was another meme where like Gen Z can body slap a cop, take a, you know, a tear gas canister mid-air and throw it back at them, but they can't.
Yeah, oh yeah, I saw that. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
But they can't book an appointment with the doctor. Like that's how complicated this
So true.
generation is. But
Yeah.
it's, I think from the positive side of it, if you even look at India, there's a lot of people now that have been like, okay, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna take my route, and you know, whatever happens, happens. I think the one example I can think of is Kenny Sebastian as a comedian, taking
100%.
you know a different route, you know, despite being in a society which is represses all of that. I think that paved like a big way for, you know, comedians. I might be wrong. It could be many
Yeah.
others like Biswa or you know, all the others in the field. But it's just an example that just came in top of my head. And like that, I feel like India as a like the scene is changing. There is a lot of positivity going on. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
coming up and, you know, saying that, okay, you know what, let's change the norm. It's high time that we start doing something different. I'm seeing that in a lot of parents as well. So, you know, that's also good. It's just a good, we are shifting, but it's not fast enough. I think that's what we need to work towards. And the second thing is, yeah, definitely. Like, I was also of the view, like, you know, when people start posting stuff or doing something what they're passionate about, I obviously never publicly, you know, or like, you know, did anything or shared it to my friends and being like, you know, what is this guy doing? But in my head, I was always like, yeah, what is this guy doing? Like, you know, why is he doing this? Like, it's not even that good. But then, yeah, self-awareness came through, a lot of content from Gary Vee came through, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, we're all here for like a short period of time. From like,
Yeah.
you know, we're just a speck of, you know, dust compared to what's happening in the
In a
universe.
cosmos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a cliche as it sounds, but like it's true. And as
100%.
soon as that hit me, I was like, holy shit, like I could make a complete fool out of myself, and who gives a flying fuck about it? Like no one gives a shit. People
yeah.
might think about it for
Yeah.
like 2 days. People will talk about it for 2 days.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example of this. So the first time I mean, I love public speaking. I've gotten into it since I was in middle school or high school. And
Yeah.
you know, obviously you mess up. Like Nikhil said, like you know, you when you start off, your first podcast, or your first speech, or your first this thing isn't gonna be great. Like it's gonna be bad. It's not. It's gonna be horrible maybe, but you can't
Yeah.
get to your 50th or your 100th without doing your first. So and
100%.
yeah, and even when you reach the 20th and the 25th or the 27th, you keep learning, and that's what like I went for 10 to 15 startup competitions and I lost all of them. But I learned, like I learned so much from it that I can proudly say that I know so much about the startup world, more than
Yeah.
possibly like you know people who are double my age maybe because of just I've been in that field for so long. And
Grand.
I think
Yeah.
like you guys said, like it's just like there's so much fear over failure. Like, but why? There's
But
no need for it. There's no because it's such a
yeah.
normal part of life. Like, and we've been
Exactly.
conditioned to think that it's not normal. That we
Yeah.
just restrict ourselves from doing it. And I think the difference between a lot of cultures is that everywhere else it's like, okay, you know, if I do it and it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. I just figure out how to do
Fuck
it
it.
better. Yeah, that's it. That's as simple as it is. And I think if
Yeah.
people understood that, like you said, more people just come out of the shells and start doing things, and they should. And I can already see the change. Like I can already see a lot of people like going the entrepreneurial route. And that being said, as much as it's the greatest time to be alive with all the resources and all that, it is the most competitive. So you can't expect,
100%. Yeah.
you can't expect the world because you have that passion. It's day and night of work, of like, like 5 to 10 years of your life dedicated if you want to be something different in today's world.
100%.
100%. And it's also this misconception that it could just be, people are like, oh, you're not doing your 9 to 5 and you're sitting and working. But dude, even that work needs to be done with the mentality that there's no 9 to 5. There is when I open my eyes to when I close my eyes. I want to draw an example to someone that all three of us know, Shashank Ashok, right? And I love the trajectory that guy's life has taken him in, because like in 2015, like so we all so Shashank and I graduated school at the same time. Even Dakshay, all three of us graduated high school at the same time. Dakshay was there when me and so me and Shashank used to have the fucking dumbest of cat fights in school. Okay, I'm not joking. We used to fight
Man, it
a
was fucking
shit.
hilarious. We had WWE in our class like every day. Like it was
Like
actually insane.
imagine 8th grade Shashank and 8th grade Nikhil going at it, bro. Like and so this dude,
8th grade Nikhil goes Jeopardy and then fucking slaps him.
like,
Oh no, Shashank does Jeopardy and
oh
Nikhil
my
slaps
god,
him.
that was iconic. But like, so this dude's all singing and shit, and I was like, okay, this guy's gonna go somewhere with music, and that was what I had. So here I am, first year of college, and Shashank sends his shit, and he's released his first song. I'm like, good job, bro. Like for whatever it is, like you've made your first step, and I couldn't be prouder for you. Out of the blue, he started doing vlogs and shit, right? So I remember my friends are like, like, what is he doing, man? Like, this shit's boring. This is not even interesting or whatever, right? And this kid had the foresight to do it at like 16, 17, right? Right after college, right after school. And now I'm seeing his content. Yo, like when I examine his shit frame by frame, like because that's how I'm tuned to looking at shit now, right? I'm in the field now. I'm in it 4 years after Shashank got in it. And I'm like, yo, I have seen every small change from your YouTube intro to the effort you have put in. Like people don't realize simple shit that like your YouTube intro changing to watermarks to editing, like subtle editing changes you've made has been done so professionally, right? And all the people that used to laugh at him, where the fuck are they now? Like no one's able to say shit. No one's able to say shit. Like I've gone and asked my friends, like just casually, like I still love my friends. I'm just saying that, like, you guys are talking shit earlier. Look where he is now, and like I love that. So if you don't suck at something first, you're never going to be great at it in the future. And that is the entire fundamental idea of this podcast and shit. Like I know I'm not a fucking #1 creator or whatnot, but you're gonna have to kill me before I stop trying different things and sucking at all of them before maybe being good at one of them.
That's such a good philosophy. But like this goes back to the don't have the fear of failure, but the fear of failure is so ingrained in our culture and a schooling system. I mean, maybe not the schooling system, but definitely in the culture.
100% schooling system. They shame and ostracize anyone who has failed. Like, matlab, bro, my supervisor was a bigger truth. He went like, bro, if you get less than 60% in math, I'll put you with commerce students as though they were a disease. I'm like, bro, what sort of ego do you fucking have? Like, even the shittiest commerce guy who goes on to be an accountant in probably the shittiest firm will still out-earn you, including tuitions.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out. Like,
literally, man, 100%. No chill. But yeah, 100%. The school as well, man. Like, it's so ridiculous that we have people like that who embody the student system, and they're supposed to be fucking teaching the generation coming up to be fucking open-minded, to have no fear, to fucking succeed in life. And when they have views like this, it really it puts things into perspective. And it's insane. And sorry, I just wanted to cycle back when Vishal was speaking. He's like grazed upon the topic of no fear of failure a lot. And man, honestly, if there was something to be fucking ingrained in our culture, like that had to be fucking done by force if needed to be, it is no fear of failure. Like, when was the last time that we saw a cultural movement where people had no fear of failure? It seems like Gandhi's freaking, walks in that, they were like, no fear of failure. They were like, we're gonna fucking, even though this idea is absolutely fucking retarded, right? You're fucking, I mean,
Imagine how
it's so
stoned.
stupid.
Imagine if the guy just stoned and went like, bro, you know what's a good idea, bro? Netflix. No, let's just go get some salt, bro. Let's walk 500 kilometers and get that salt.
Get that salt. I mean, it was obviously cocaine, but no, like going against like people with guns, right, with no arms, that takes no fear of failure, right? And since then, it seems we have deviated from that mindset, from that past. And man, as you said, you went for so many startup competitions and you learned each and every one of them. And even though you didn't, like, what do you say, win, you learned that there's no fucking fear of failure. And I saw something today like that puts all of this fucking together, and there's literally no fucking possible way of knowing if something happened, whether it was good or bad for you.
Yeah.
Like,
It's what you
so
make of
fucking
it.
true.
It's what you make of it.
Exactly.
Honestly, like
Exactly.
and I think that comes to perspective, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's all about how the same thing could happen to two different people, and they view it in completely two different ways, and that's
Exactly.
amazing to think about it. Like, and drawing on what you said, like I read somewhere that if you can think negatively about the future, then it is possible that you can also think positively about the future. So
Exactly.
what's stopping you? Like, and I think it's just
Yeah.
been that and you know what the funny thing is, and this is what I love about people when, or I find confusing when they say that when we have this whole topic about optimism and all that, they're like, no, I'm just realistic. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you can be optimistic and realistic at the same time, right? Like there's
Yeah.
I don't understand why you're trying to put those two things separately, because like optimism is just having a positive outlook on the future, or that you have that
Yeah.
belief that positive things that you do will have a positive result. And science, like if people don't believe in cliches, you should believe in science, right? And science has proved it through research that when you are positive and when you know that the outcome is going to be better, you tend to work better. And when you work better, your actions are better. And when your actions are better, your results become better. It's scientifically proven. So when people tell me, like, and I get this a lot, they're like, you speak in cliches, or, this, we hear this all the time in books and stuff. I'm like, because it's the truth. Like, what more do you want? Like, like, I mean,
100%.
there's nothing else to say. Like, it's just that, if you don't want to listen to, these, the Jay Shettys or the Gary Vees or anyone, don't. But if you're a man of science, then go read the research papers and all the things that have been published that says this. And I think it's that simple, man. Like, if and again, like, I think it comes back to the whole thing that for me, it's just like, you know what, I'm not here for a long time. Like, I might as well do something that I love. I don't want to sit in my deathbed, look back at my life and be like, holy fuck, I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, or I
100%.
didn't think, I didn't take that effort of doing something. And I know, man, like, all these failures and this fucking grind is gonna pay off. Everybody who goes through the grind, you will be rewarded at the end. Like, that's how that
And,
is. how
and, yeah,
things work.
and it doesn't always have to be monetary, right? It could just be experience. Like, for example, your experience, like even like, I mean, God forbid, even though in that concept, like, suppose shit doesn't work out. Like, for all you know, dude, like, tomorrow Microsoft or some of the top biggest companies could hire you to head strategy just because you know how shit works. Like, that's your experience, and like, you're there. Or there's just so many ways you could influence shit. Like, you don't know where life's gonna take you. You gotta try. Like, which is the thing that I wanted to ask you, right? Since you've been passionate about education, is that any point has this thought crossed your mind where you might want to like start an action? I mean, you did do it with Fireflies. I would say it's like a portal, right? Like an educational portal. You ever think of opening an institution officially in some platform and actually like teaching, being a headmaster, dean,
I'm so glad that you brought this up. It's like, so I have, like, I mean, if I'm being honest and open, like, I have these big milestones that I want to get through in life. So business has always been a part of it. Like, I know when I started it, I'm not good at it, but I'm so stubborn and I just love the process so much that I'm like, I do want to get good at this, and I really want to build a company from scratch with zero money and take it to like a multi-million-dollar valuation or whatever. and that's been a big
Yeah.
dream of mine. But from the other side of me has always also, like, if in a world maybe I would just want to be a teacher or a professor, just have a chill life with my students, chill with the students on the weekends, maybe at a bar or something, and
Yeah.
like just teach, because I feel like I really feel I can do well as a professor, because I love, like, teaching concepts and shit. But yeah, what is in my pipeline is to create a sort of a school where there is no concept of, this anything that you see right now. There's no concept of, like, uh, I don't know, like,
Not what it is right now. Not what it is right now. Just the complete fucking opposite.
I just envision this place where, students are excited to come to school. There's, like, and instead of, classrooms handled by teachers, maybe, like, teachers would transform into more of a facilitator, and every classroom has, like, if you're into science, then there's, like, an engineer from BMW in the class teaching you shit.
Yeah.
There's, like,
Yeah.
and if you're into fashion, there's a designer from Zara, like, just there in the classroom with their stuff, teaching you stuff. And, and I think that it is definitely a goal of mine in the long run, in the future. But I think on the other hand, I want to get into policy making. Like, I really want, like, in a utopian world,
Right.
I would have loved to get into politics. In a utopian world, it would have been my, the go-to thing. But it's not,
Yeah.
and now I don't want to be a part of it. Like, looking at how, our country is.
But don't you think that's what is on us to change though? This is, I know it's a separate conversation, but like, isn't that what needs to change? Isn't, like, our entire generation is in a very fuck politics situation, but like, shouldn't we be the ones diving into it?
True, true. No, dude, I completely agree with you. But I think just from a personal standpoint, like, I just don't have that energy. Like, I just don't have that interest per se. Like, personally,
Yeah.
not because I don't think it's, it's valid, or
Okay,
it's,
okay.
it's not something. It's just personally that's not what I want to do. But where I want to see, like, the change, or, where I feel like I can implement, is maybe going the route of, like, the United Nations or UNICEF, where, like, it's a collective body, and try and implement, like, change at a policy level, like, where, I could get heads of, I don't know, countries together and be like, guys, this is not the way it is. You need to start thinking of it differently. How can we start implementing change for the future when it comes to education? And that's where I want to get into, in the long run. Once I've got some experience, once I see what I'm always, like, studying about, just generally, like, about the education systems, what can be done, what's practical, what's not. And it's a fun process for me. But yeah, like, to answer your question, definitely, education is not something I'm going to leave. But right now for me, I know that I've dealt with it for 2.5 years of my life with that startup. I did whatever I could, and now personally for me, I want to try something different, and maybe I'll get back to education later on. I don't know, but, like, right now, I just want to focus on my company. I love what I'm doing at the moment, and in a way, I'm still with the youngsters and with Gen Z. So, it's not like I've gone completely off course, but yeah.
I like how we're calling people youngsters. We're fucking 21, man, and we're already like, all these young children. I tell you, fundamentally in education, right? One, and you can tell me how much of this you would, or like whether you agree with it or whatever. But one to both of you, that kids these days need to really pick up, like, the fundamental shit, like, not just branding or whatever, but how to how to survive in this world, man. Like, survival skills, for example, kids need to learn how to invest, like financial security, right? No one gives two shits about that. Everyone's like, ha, jaake kamao, kamane ke baad kya karega, like, what are you going to do after earning, like, what, put it in a FD like a fucking 70-year-old or what? No. Like, teach kids about the financial markets, what they can do to impact it. Like, teach kids how to market, like, have, like, dude, how awesome it would be if universities and more, I know universities with this exist, but incubators, actual incubators in schools and universities, where, and like, it's okay to train your kids in media, because, like, you imagine a school with such good cohesion where engineering students or whatever creating certain products, and your finance kids are developing fintech tools. Your media kids are marketing the fuck out of everything in every possible way. You're teaching them innovative design rather than saying, please code C++ over here and write a code to tell you the greatest number in this array. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on. Like, there's so much more important shit out there. Like,
It's like, again, just to, we've been shitting on the education system a lot, so I thought I should bring like some positivity into it. There are incubators in schools now, by the way. Like, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's like, but like, entrepreneurship incubators where if you have an idea, they'll help you, work on it. And as far as I know, some of them even fund it. So it's getting there in a way. But dude, I completely agree. Like, things would be so much cooler if there was this way for people to just explore different things and try it out, like, hands-on experiences. Like, what is it like to pick up a camera and just like shoot something? Like, if you don't like it, cool, but you tried, and maybe that's not for you. But then you go and, I don't know, code something and just like, oh shit, this is something I enjoy, so I'm going to stick to this. I think going back to what Gary Vee said, like, because I want to just dwell into him for a bit, or just like bring him into this. I think he's one of the most mentally strong people to exist in like, to exist, period. That's it. Like, just because his perspective on everything is just so amazing. Like, this is the guy who took like, there's been a lot of hate around him as well. Like, oh, he inherited a $3 million, wine company from his dad. But he took that from 3 million to 65 million, and then he left
5 years.
Yeah, and then he left it and didn't take a penny out of it, and then went and created a $200 million marketing agency across 6 countries. And I'm just like, and I think the biggest thing which I love about him, as compared to everybody else, is that he stresses on happiness, which is just so amazing to hear from people, man. Like, it's not about money. Like, and people get it wrong. Like, I've seen a pizza delivery dude in his video where he just said, I deliver pizzas for a living and I'm the happiest guy on the planet Earth. Like, I love what I do. I love that I have a lot of time to just chill. And he says it, if you're happy doing that, then more power to you. Like, there's nothing wrong in pursuing what you think is good for you. Like, and that comes to self-awareness, right? And what if we can teach people, like students, this in schools, right? Like,
Self-awareness.
yeah, self-awareness. Like, what is good for you? Like, okay, 3 of us are ambitious. We want to do stuff like, we want to set up our own companies. We want to hustle. We are all about that life. That makes us happy. That's why we're doing it, right? Not for some external gratification. Yes, there's nothing wrong in wanting, I don't know, like a Tesla or a $1 million mansion or a jet or whatever. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But that's not what drives us. What drives us is the work, the feeling of like, getting that first deal or whatever it is. And if you can instill that into people that, make decisions based on happiness, what makes you happy, do it, and the world becomes so much more cooler, man. Like, honestly, I feel like things will become so much cooler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly think, like, with in terms of teaching people self-awareness, they should first understand that they're just a speck in the galaxy, and when that fucking realization hits them like a truck, they'll have an existential crisis for like a fucking month or something, and then they'll realize the importance of fucking happiness and about no fear of failure. They'll know, like, if they want to fucking, if they want their life to amount to anything, it is that they live each day, like, carpe diem, seize the day, and then do exactly what makes them happy, because in the end there's no point to anything else.
I think that hit me because I had this cool chance this year in early year. Like, I worked with Dubai Astronomy for a bit, so they're the only astronomy group in UAE that's like, registered and whatever. So we were doing something with them for Fireflies, and the first tour I had of their entire thing, he like set up a telescope for me, and he showed me all this, like, the whatever, he showed me the moon. I think he showed me one of the planets as well, and I was just like, I was mind blown. And that day itself, like, it hit me just like, whoa, which is like, it's so funny, like, we take all these small things so seriously. But at the same time, like, that being said, I think with self-awareness, you also need to know what it takes to do stuff. Like, like, yes, I love, football and I want to become a footballer, but do you know what it takes to become that footballer? Or do you know the effort that you need to put in? Or even, like, you and I, like, oh yes, we want to start companies, but Do you know the kind of effort you need to put in to start that company in today's market, given all the shit that's going on right now, especially in Dubai, one of the most competitive markets to exist. Like, as long as you understand that and you still want to go and give it a shot, more power to you, more power to us, more power to everybody. But I think people shouldn't at the same time have a wrong picture, or should, I think the word that Gary uses a lot is just like have this rosy picture of what, entrepreneurship or certain lifestyle is. Like, and I think a lot of people, I have a feeling that a lot of people misjudge that too. Because, when they say, oh, you're so lucky, Vishal, you don't get the 9 to 5, you get to work on your own company. I'm like, bro, I have to manage my own company. Like, do you know the stress that comes with it? Like, do you know that it's not a 9 to 5, it's an 8 to 12, like 8 in the morning to 12 in the night. Like, there's no, I'm not here to like strike a clock. I don't have small KPIs. I have like, everything is on me and my co-founders. So, it's a lot more pressure than being in a 9 to 5. It's a lot more work as
And
compared
it's
to
also a long haul, right?
yeah, long haul.
Like the see, it's a game of patience. But that being said, it's also not like, oh, just because you've been at a pursuit for 8 years doesn't mean it'll work. It can go belly up then too. But the idea is that people are so like, you and I had this talk, right? When you told me that like this is the way to go right now. So like, I mean, you should tell these guys about that. Like, I mean, that's the exact same thing it comes down to, right?
I think it's amazing. Like, a lot of people ask me that, right out of high school or like right out of university, what should you be doing? And I think, again, drawing on Gary's knowledge, and I think the mantra that I've lived by as well is, we're still so young. We don't have commitments. Thankfully, we're not born into a society where we have this whole, get married by this age, get a job by this age. At least a lot of people are lucky. I'm not saying all of the listeners or whatever are in that sort of position where, you can do that. But if you are, which I think there's a majority of them who have that sort of, space and time to do stuff, this time, like 20 to 25, 26 is when you need to go high risk, like completely go high risk. Like, just do whatever it is you want to do and put your like grind into it. Like, and this is if you want to achieve something, like, again, like going back to self-awareness, if you want to build something on your own, you have like this crazy ambition of making it in music or sports or entrepreneurship or like a thing, offbeat path, then you need to know the kind of effort that takes. You need to know that it's like a long game, like it's like 10, 15 years. You're not going to get a steady income. You might fall flat in your face after 5 years of working on it. It's there, like, but there is no downside to it, because everything that you pick up in those 8 years will put you probably miles ahead as compared to someone who played it safe. And if you're a person who doesn't want that and who wants a job, who wants to go weekends to, party and take time for family and stuff, again, more part of them too, because it's all about what you want.
And what makes you happy? Yeah, exactly. Like there is, because that's the same thing, right? Like a lot of my friends that I hung out with throughout college, they're all people who graduate. Like my best friend graduated a year ago. Others even earlier, right? So I saw them earn like 3K. Like I saw this guy, not friends with them anymore, but like guy went from 3K to 10K or whatnot. And I could see that happiness. He was like, dude, I am fine. Like, see, for whatever it is, you could make so many arguments that, okay, dude, like, I mean, 10K is great now. It's not going to be great in 5 years, right? But for whatever it's worth, if you're living with your parents, you're earning 10K a month, you've assimilated after all your expenses 80K a year, buy a car, you put it in a fund that will grow. Like, there's so many ways, if that brings you happiness, that can. And there is a part of me, right, like, which is what, like, this is a very fun story I want to just share with you guys, right? So I just got done with college and everything, and before we planned this podcast, I was on a call with Vishal, and I was like, yo, listen, see, there are two things, right? And another sub story, which is that you're right, it completely depends on where you are in life. Like, there are people with that privilege. I am very privileged to have that, like, to have that privilege where my parents don't really rely on me for shit. There are people I've spoken to who are like, who've told me that, Nikhil, I'm happy that you're doing your shit, man. You should, because you have that time and ability. Don't give up on it. But people, and they're like, dude, I can't do, even though I want to, I can't, because my parents do rely on me. They rely on the money that I earn, right? And it's okay. It makes me happy knowing I can provide for my family, but there are other things. And yeah, dude, like in a world where people have that privilege and don't, like that's when Vishal told me that. So I went to him really confused, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if I should harness that inner engineer and start applying to jobs, or should I just go with the fact that hey, I've amassed this much of my own money in the like through internships or whatnot, and I need to invest that into my endeavors. And but there is no guaranteed ROI. There absolutely isn't. And that is the same thing that he like that Vishal just made. Like you will not know if that ROI is going to be positive, negative, or non-existent. And that scares the shit out of me. Like you guys are going to be watching this video to let you. I bought a camera rig 2 days ago. A bulk of that is my money, right? And it's money that I'm I'm trying to pay back to my parents one bit. Like that's money they're getting back one way or another, right? And the thing with that is I am so scared right now that like I've seen people make content, right? Like for example Shashank, I saw him make content then and I see him make content now, and I'm like with the same age, and I can't even, like I was stressing. I was like, fuck, I cannot make content as well as these guys or shoot videos like these guys can. I couldn't sleep last night knowing that shit, I bought this, do I have it in me to pull it off? And the only thing that I could tell myself was, I mean, the deed is done. One, you're not getting a refund on the camera. Second, I can back myself down enough that I will do what I can, whether it's watching videos on how to do shit and practically keep trying to find gigs, do free shit, do shit at home. Like the other day, I just pulled out Parle G biscuits and took photos of it because why the fuck not? if I want people to hire me to do shit, I need to do shit that they can see that okay, he can do this, right? So if I want to do product shoots, I have to do some jugaad shoot at home.
Sorry to cut you off there, but it just came into my mind. Like, I think just to quickly add to that, like I really think a lot of people don't or underestimate the power of doing things for free when you're starting off. Like there is so much power into it, and that's where you get attention. Like when you go and do things for free, you get that opportunity first to get into you put your first foot in, and then you get that sort of, hey, I have this testimonial from this dude who knows that I can do this, and then you use that to then get more gigs. So you're actually doing the right thing, man. Like, this is exactly what
I know.
people are
I was
supposed to
just
do.
scared.
Shitless. Like this just comes down to saying that I'm scared every moment of every day. Like it's one of those things, right? Like you might quit every day, but you don't make that known. You don't tell others that. You don't show it yourself. Like you can feel scared, but like I just know that fuck it. Like at the end of the day, if I do go down, fuck it, I'm going to go down trying. And honestly, I can live with that. I can live with the fact that I've gone down trying.
Yeah.
Better than I can live with the fact that I didn't try at all. Like fuck that. Like that honestly, that's the only thing that keeps me going. Like to be very honest with you.
Sorry, just to on that point as well. Let's look at the worst case scenario. Yeah, let's say worst case, both of us did what we have to do. 2 years down the line, it didn't work out for whatever reason. Let's say worst case. It's not the end of the world. It's not like you said. It's not like, I think we're self-sufficient enough to get us a job that pays us a decent money. We get that money, we work for a bit, we save up, and we try again. That's how it works. That's just generally how life works. Like the worst case scenarios aren't as bad as people think it is. Like if you fall flat on your face, it's honestly not that complicated to just get back up. Like yes, it's different scenarios, it's different things. Like maybe people who invest like millions and millions of dollars, it's different. But for us, that's the perspective, right? For us, where there's not that much of a risk of families depending on us or anything, leverage it. Like why the hell wouldn't you leverage your advantages? That's what I keep telling people. Like it would be great for me to support my parents. I'm like, but if I'm being smart about it, I would rather take the years where they don't need it to build something massive and great, where I can probably earn 10 times or do 10 times the things that I wanted to do, as compared to if I'd taken the safe route. Like it's and that's the perspective people need to have. Like, and even if it doesn't work out, like I think the things that we've learned together, or all the skills that we picked up, the companies would die to have us on board in whatever way that we have to do. So even in my worst case scenario here, if everything fails, like I know for a fact I can get something, I can be self-sufficient. But like you said, man, like, and even if that happens, I'm gonna work for a bit and then figure out a way to start it again. Like, there is no scenario in this where I quit, like, because that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a scenario where people do that, because it's as simple as it is. It's like playing, it's just as simple as it is. Like, if you quit, that's it. You're never gonna ever have that. But if you don't, there's always that 1% chance you're gonna achieve it, right? Like, if you don't, you keep trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. Man, possibly the 9,999th time is when it actually, clicks. So it's and I've seen that in every step of the startup and everything that I've done the past couple of years. Like, I've had the privilege to work with some amazing people who I call my co-founders now, and I definitely want to talk to you guys about this after. Hopefully you should get one of them to be on the podcast too. And I've had the privilege of working with people who have set up like NGOs, who have gone to, I don't know, like meet people like Shashi Tharoor and affect like a lot of change. And these are people who took a shot at themselves, like, a shot at doing something. And and I feel like, it's just scares me that people also don't think that if you don't do this now, or if you don't do it, like, when are you going to do it? Like, there's no, they have this like very, this mentality that, oh, I'll do it once I get all these things sorted, I'm safe. And I'm like, dude, it's a delusion, I'm sorry. Like, you can't wait for anything. Try reaching that in every step that you can right now. Even if it means, like you said, buying the equipment and learning how to use it. Do it. That might be the first step. Or for someone else, the first step might be like, okay, I can take evening classes to learn the skill that I want, to move into the job that I actually want to do. And people say, oh, I have this, I have that, I have that, all that. It's all just excuses, man. If you really want something, you will find a way to do it. You will definitely find a way to do it.
I'm never going to
Thinking
take
of
that
all
off,
the
but, like,
amazing moments you've had in this
thinking of
podcast,
all
I
the
love the
amazing
fact that
moments you've
even,
had in this
like, what we're on
podcast, I
episode
love the fact that
6
even,
right
like,
now,
what we're on episode
and
6
it's
right
still
now,
great
and
that, this
it's
each
still great
episode is
that,
just so intellectually stimulating.
episode is
And
just so
if I think this by
intellectually
far might have been the
and
most
I think this
like, you
by far
learn
might have been
things,
the most
but then there are ones that
like, you learn
drive you.
things,
There's
but then there are
obviously two
ones
differences,
that drive you.
but
There's obviously two
I'm
differences.
always thankful to have you here, man. Vishal, for whatever
I'm always
reason,
thankful
like,
to
we're
have you
both
here,
on
man,
that
Vishal, for
similar
whatever
path,
reason.
and
We're both on that
it's always
similar
great to
path,
have
and,
someone you can just look
it's
up to. And
always
I know I
great to have
badger you a
someone
fuck
you can
ton,
just
but
look up
thanks
to,
for
and I
putting
know
up
I
with it,
badger you a
man.
fuck
That's
ton,
it.
but, thanks for putting up with it,
really
man.
appreciate it.
Happy,
It was
happy.
amazing having you.
Thanks a lot, Darshan, man. Thanks a lot, guys. It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
man.
And you definitely should check out Vishal at his handle. We're going to put that down in the link in the description. His story is amazing. You should really go check out what he does. Do follow him. I'm pretty sure he's managed to keep me motivated. He's definitely going to keep you motivated. So check him out. He is our own, our little known Gary Vee in his own way. And the guy, trust me, I'm a betting man and I'm going to bet on this guy. This guy's going to make it in time. I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, but this man's going to make it. And, wish you both of us wish you the very best, bro. I hope you kill it. So yeah, man. And thank you guys so much for joining us on yet another episode. And I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm pretty sure you guys like this. You guys like this podcast. There's no way you can't. Okay, I got emotional over here, so fuck you. You better do. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Take care. Good night. Stay safe.